The world watched in horror as Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel, shattering a period of relative calm in the region. The conflict has spiraled into a humanitarian crisis with civilian casualties mounting on both sides. Meanwhile, the war in Ukraine grinds on, with Russia escalating its attacks on civilian infrastructure. In Africa, the grim reality of terrorism continues to plague innocent lives, with Boko Haram carrying out another horrific attack in Nigeria. Adding to the continent's woes, a prison break attempt in the Democratic Republic of Congo has exposed the dire conditions and overcrowding in the country's correctional facilities. Across the globe, the devastating effects of climate change are becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. A record-breaking heatwave in Phoenix, Arizona, serves as a stark reminder of the urgent need for action to address this global crisis. These events, though geographically diverse, are interconnected, highlighting the fragility of peace and the pressing need for global cooperation in the face of shared challenges. The streets of Tel Aviv have been filled with protesters demanding a ceasefire with Hamas. The Israeli government, however, remains committed to its military operation in Gaza, aimed at dismantling Hamas's military capabilities. The conflict has sparked international outrage, with many countries condemning the violence and calling for a peaceful resolution. The United Nations has warned of a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, where hospitals are overwhelmed and essential supplies are running low. Adding to the complexity of the situation, Hamas is holding over 100 hostages, demanding their release in exchange for captured Israeli soldiers. Negotiations between Israel and Hamas, mediated by Egypt, have yet to yield a breakthrough. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a swift and peaceful end to the violence that has claimed the lives of so many innocent civilians. Russia has intensified its air campaign in Ukraine, targeting key infrastructure including power grids and communication networks. The attacks have left millions of Ukrainians without electricity as winter approaches, raising concerns about a humanitarian crisis. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of deliberately targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure, constituting war crimes. The International Criminal Court is currently investigating allegations of war crimes committed by both sides in the conflict. In a surprising move, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a cabinet reshuffle, replacing several key ministers. The reasons behind the reshuffle remain unclear, but some analysts speculate that it reflects Putin's dissatisfaction with the progress of the war in Ukraine. Despite facing setbacks on the battlefield, Russia shows no signs of backing down, raising fears of a protracted and bloody conflict with far-reaching consequences for global security. Section 4: Terror strikes Nigeria. Boko Haram, the Islamist militant group, has claimed responsibility for a deadly attack in northeastern Nigeria. Gunmen stormed a village market, opening fire on civilians and setting fire to shops and homes. The attack left dozens dead and many more injured, highlighting the ongoing threat posed by the terrorist group. The Nigerian government has condemned the attack and vowed to bring the perpetrators to justice. However, despite years of military operations, Boko Haram continues to operate in the region, exploiting the porous borders and weak governance. The attack has displaced thousands of people, who have fled their homes in fear of further violence. The humanitarian situation in northeastern Nigeria is dire, with millions in need of food, water, and shelter. The international community has condemned the attack and pledged support to the Nigerian government in its fight against terrorism. However, a lasting solution requires addressing the root causes of extremism, including poverty, inequality, and lack of opportunity. Despair fuels prison break attempt in DRC. A brazen escape attempt at a prison in the Democratic Republic of Congo has left several dead and exposed dire conditions. Hundreds of inmates attempted to overpower guards, leading to chaos and a heavy-handed response. The incident has sparked outrage among human rights groups criticizing inhumane conditions. Overcrowding, lack of sanitation, and inadequate healthcare are rampant. The prison break is a stark reminder of the urgent need for reform in the DRC's justice system. Section 6: Scorching heat wave grips Phoenix. Phoenix, Arizona is experiencing a record-breaking heat wave, with temperatures soaring above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The unrelenting heat has strained power grids, buckled roads, and endangered vulnerable populations. Hospitals are seeing a surge in heat-related illnesses, including heat exhaustion and heat stroke. City officials urge residents to stay hydrated and avoid prolonged sun exposure. The heat wave in Phoenix is a stark reminder of the growing threat of climate change.